I'm like completely unprepared. I just woke up. So I don't know. What's it called? Strudel or whatever. I don't know how to make music. I'm not gonna claim anything. But I think I'm gonna waste some time in strudel. Because I haven't yet. So I don't know. I'm tired of programming. A little distraction, whatever. Well, I'm not actually tired of programming. So I gotta switch around the desktops. I hate this Apple menu for changing the damn desktops. If there's anything that Apple designed poorly, this is definitely up there on the list. For fuck's sake. I gotta uncheck mirror displays. And then the desktops are gonna go wherever. And I gotta sort it out. Man. It's garbage. I'm just gonna mirror all the fucking displays. Fuck. Oh my god. Why can't this just work? For fuck's sake. Why is there a missing window? Where the fuck did it go? Oh my god. This is terrible. The stupidest fucking menu design ever. $30 Hz? What the fuck? This is terrible. Why did Apple do this scaled thing where they won't commit to a resolution? So they call it scaled. So fucking stupid. I lose a desktop. Whatever. I need a desktop separate. Oh my god, finally. It's working. Stupid fucking desktops. That took so long to set up. Just to shuffle around the desktops. I just kind of want to program now. I don't even know how sudo works. I'm gonna like, whatever. Waste some time in this program for a bit. Get to programming. This is hit play. Where's play? Let's start. I think I had a link in my phone. I'm gonna figure this out, whatever. I don't know how loud this is. I don't know, it's not my problem. This will this could easily be like a really big distraction. And this text editor is terrible. Like I have anxiety just trying to type in it. I want like multi-line select. I can't. It's laggy. The chatbot doesn't help. Shit doesn't even work. This does though. I gotta actually get programming. I think you could technically. This doesn't even work, so I don't even know. This is like a whole other thing. Like a whole other thing to like figure out. I actually have to get programming done. So I'll mess with this later. But it looks like you might be able, if this even worked. This doesn't work, so I don't know. You can maybe set a counter and set like on off. And play like a hi-hat or a tom hat, whatever you want to call it. And like switch between sounds being played. So you could set up like finite state. Or like a finite state machine. Both like sound. That's like pretty cool. Like GarageBand. You know what? I'm gonna actually get to work. This is a huge distraction. I need more caffeine. This is like really cool though. You could actually make like legitimate music. Both like JavaScript. It's hilarious. Like JavaScript has so much potential. I really hate JavaScript. But it's a good thing I made a JavaScript engine like 8 years ago. Because it applies to so many things. So I gotta like get back to programming, get the shader program done, so I can get back to like working towards the standard. And like get the first JavaScript engine to actually meet the entire standard. All like 800 pages of it. Be lots of fun. Because JavaScript has potential, like this thing runs in JavaScript. This is their demo. It's like JavaScript. So there's no fucking reason why you can't make video games in JavaScript. Other than that, JavaScript is too slow. Because really, it's just playing a sound, and JavaScript doesn't do much. Except, I have like a really fast JavaScript engine. It's faster than Chrome V8. So a whole new world of possibilities would be possible. Oh my god, I have so much work to do. Okay, I'm done with strudel for now. It's gonna take way too long to switch around the desktops. I don't know. I get programming. I was gonna try to make music, but this doesn't really count yet. It's gonna take a lot more work to like make music. So I'll play this JavaScript standard because it's like the next best thing to music, whatever. Yeah, not really. So I'll just play this instead. It's like the same thing. It takes too long to make music in this text editor. I have to figure out how to get like Sublime to output to here because I cannot program in this. It's terrible. And this isn't enough to be considered music. So I'll just play this instead. Really? Is it not gonna work? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, it's turned off.
In global code for the associated realm code
There we go.
declaration, generator declaration, async function declaration, async generator declaration, and variable declaration bindings, var names, a list of strings. The string names bound by
Isn't that like music to your ears?
async function declaration, async generator
Alright, I gotta like get to program now.
declarations in global code for the associated realm. ECMA International 2024, 43, table 21, additional
And get the shader program done so I can get back to working on my JavaScript engine.
return the value of
And then meet the standard from start to finish.
action,
And then make my own standard.
the argument,
And possibly make a web browser.
environment,
By make a web browser I mean I'm gonna like
declaration,
use open source code.
generator declaration,
But like the JavaScript engine part, that'll be mine.
sync generated
The rest of it will probably be open source.
declaration,
Because that's how open source works. You take an open source program and then you can just claim it yours.
created using a lexicon
So I'm just gonna take whatever's available.
or a class.
I'll throw it together with my JavaScript engine.
N determines
And I don't know, I'll see what happens.
of a global
So I get the shader program done first.
global lexical binding can declare global var. N determines if a corresponding create global var binding call would succeed if called for.
I need some more caffeine too.
Declare global function
I really need to focus.
determines if a
I'll be RP.
function
And then get to programming.
succeed if called for.
Fun stuff.
N create global var binding. N D. Used to create and initialize to undefined a global var binding in the component of a global environment record. The binding will be a mutable binding. The corresponding global object property.
But like a really fast JavaScript engine
The string value n is
designed for like making video games,
binding may be
real time video editing,
equivalent to create,
and sound processing, because this isn't really sound processing.
but it allows var declarations to receive special treatment. Create global function binding. N, V, D. Create and initialize a global function binding in the component of a global environment.
This is just JavaScript being used for timing,
The corresponding
and the sound is already made or whatever.
user
When I say sound processing, I mean like
value n is the bound.
actually like modifying the sound waves in JavaScript.
An argument D is true.
You can't do that with the current JavaScript. They have to be a new standard,
To create
because this standard sucks.
mutable binding.
So I'll like make my own standard too.
Receive special treatment. The behavior
I got so much to do.
application method
So I'll help you be.
records as defined by the following algorithm.
And nobody believes me. I don't fucking care. Suck a dick.
N, the has binding concrete method of a global environment record env rec takes argument n, a string, and returns either a normal completion containing a boolean or a throw completion. It determines if the argument identifier is one of the identifiers bound by the record. It performs the following steps when called let DCL rec be env rec. If DCL rec has binding, n is true. Return true. Let obj rec be env rec. Return obj rec has binding n, 1, 1, 4, 2 create mutable binding n, D. The create mutable binding concrete method of a global environment record env rec takes arguments n, a string, and e, a boolean, and returns either a normal completion containing unused or a throw completion. It creates a new mutable binding for the num n that is uninitialized. The binding is created in the associated 44 copyright sign, ECMA International 2024 declarative record. A binding for n must not already exist in the declarative record. If D is true, the new binding is marked as being subject to deletion. It performs the following steps when called let DCL rec be env rec. If DCL rec has binding, n is true, throw a type error exception. Return DCL rec create mutable binding n, D, 1, 1, 4, 3 create a mutable binding n, S. The create immutable binding concrete method of a global environment record env rec takes arguments n, a string, and s, a boolean, and returns either a normal completion containing unused or a throw completion. It creates a new immutable binding for the num n that is uninitialized. A binding must not already exist in this environment record for n if s is true. The new binding is marked as a strict binding. It performs the following steps when called let DCL rec be env rec. If DCL rec has binding, n is true, throw a type error exception. Return DCL rec create a mutable binding n, S. For initialize binding n, V. The initialize binding concrete method of a global environment record env rec takes arguments n, a string, and V, an ECMA script language value, and returns either a normal completion containing unused or a throw completion. It is used to set the bound value of the current binding of the identifier whose name is n to the value v. An uninitialized binding for n must already exist. It performs the following steps when called let DCL rec be env rec. If DCL rec has binding, n is true, then a return DCL rec initialize binding n, v. Assert if the binding exists, it must be in the object environment record. Let obj rec be env rec. Return obj rec initialize binding n, v, 1, 1, 4, 5 set mutable binding n, v, s. The set mutable binding concrete method of a global environment record env rec takes arguments n, a string, v, an ECMA script language value, and s, a boolean, and returns either a normal completion containing unused or a throw completion. It attempts to change the bound value of the current binding of the identifier whose name is n to the value v if the binding is an immutable binding and s is true. A type error is normally already exists, but if it does not or is not currently writable, error handling is determined by S. It performs the following steps when called. Let DCL rec be env rec. If has binding, N is true, then A return. Rec set mute.
Strudel, whatever.
Let obj.
Give me a whole bunch of ideas.
Obj rec set mutable binding, N V S, 1.
So,
6 get binding
I gotta like
N
focus on this though.
binding value concrete method of a global environment. A string, and S, a boolean, and returns either a normal completion containing an ECMA script language a value or a throw completion. It returns the value of its bound identifier whose name is only if the binding is an uninitial
So I gotta
error exception. A property
fill the hole in the data because I move one thing from one
error handling is
list to the other.
performs the following steps when called.
So that's what I work on right here.
Rec. If DCL rec has binding, N is true, then A return. Get binding value, N S ECMA International 2024 145. 3. Let obj rec be env rec. Return. Obj rec get binding value, N S, 1, 1, 4, 7 delete binding, N, the delete binding concrete method of a global environment record env rec takes argument N, a string, and returns either a normal completion containing a boolean or a throw completion. It can only delete binding
Really, it's not gonna work.
subject to deletion. It performs the following steps when called. Let DCL rec be env rec. If DCL rec has binding,
There it goes.
true, then A return. DCL rec delete binding, N. Let obj rec be env rec. Let global object be obj rec. Let existing
So I gotta get the node thing set up.
N. If existing prop is true, then A let status be obj rec delete binding, N. B if status is true and env rec contains N, then I remove N from env rec C return status. Return true, 1, 1, 4. 8 has this binding. The has this binding concrete method of a global environment record env rec takes no arguments and returns true. It performs the following steps when called. Return true, 1, 1.
I gotta move things from the pending array into the collect array.
Of a global environment record env
And then
and
I can loop the collect array
steps when called. Return false, 1, 1, 4, 1, 0 with base object
and get the input
method of a
from
record env rec takes no arguments and returns undefined. It performs the following
mouse keyboard whatever.
9, 1,
So I gotta finish up the node stuff.
1, 1 get this binding. The get this binding concrete method of a global environment
I'm really distracted now.
arguments and returns a normal completion containing an object. It performs the following steps.
I got like
Rec 146
tons of new ideas
and 24. Note, global environment record
from Strudel.
out of this binding. Note, global environment records
Like JavaScript.
9, 1, 1, 4, 1, 2 has var
It can be applied to like so many other things
declaration
in like tiny little ways.
global environment record env rec takes argument N, a string, and returns a boolean.
I really need to focus.
And identifier has a binding in this record that was created using
I'm gonna try to like
a function declaration. It performs the following steps when
get my train of thought like on one rail
are declared
and get back to programming
return true, return false, 1,
in a minute.
1, 3 has
I gotta focus. I can now fucking focus.
declaration concrete method of a global environment record env rec takes argument N, a string, and returns a boolean. It determines if the argument identifier has a binding in this record that was created using a lexical declaration such as a lexical declaration or a class declaration. It performs the following steps when called. Let DCL rec be env rec. Return. DCL rec has binding N, 1, 1, 4, 1.4 has restricted global property. N. The has restricted global property concrete method of a global environment record env-rec takes argument n, a string, and returns either a normal completion containing a boolean or a throw completion. It determines if the argument identifier is the name of a property of the global object that must not be shadowed by a global lexical binding. It performs the following steps when called: let objrec be env-rec, let global object be objrec, let existing prop be global object, n. If existing prop is undefined, return false. If existing prop is true, return false. Return true, the 1st of April 2015 can declare global var. N. The can declare global var concrete method of a global environment record env-rec takes argument n, a string, and returns either a normal completion containing a boolean or a throw completion. It determines if a corresponding create global var binding call would succeed if called for the same argument and redundant var declarations and var declarations for pre-existing global object properties are allowed. It performs the following steps when called: let objrec be env-rec, let global object be objrec, let has property be has own property, global object, n. If has property is true, return true. Return is extensible, global object. Note properties may exist upon a global object that were directly created rather than being declared using a var or function declaration. A global lexical binding may not be created that has the same name as a non-configurable property of the global object. The global property undefined is an example of such a property. ECMA International 2024 147, 9, 1, 1, 4, 1, 6 can declare global function, n. The can declare global function concrete method of a global environment record env-rec takes argument n, a string, and returns either a normal completion containing a boolean or a throw completion. It determines if a corresponding create global function binding call would succeed if called for the same argument, and it performs the following steps when called: let objrec be env-rec, let global object be objrec, let existing prop be global object, n. If existing prop is undefined, return is extensible, global object. If existing prop is true, return true. If is data descriptor, existing prop, is true and existing prop has attribute values, true, enumerable, true, return true. Return false, 1, 1, 4, 1, 7 create global var binding, n, d. The create global var binding concrete method of a global environment record env-rec takes arguments n, a string, and e, a boolean, and returns either a normal completion containing unused or a throw completion. It creates and initializes a mutable binding in the associated object environment record and records the bound name in the associated list. If a binding already exists, it is reused and assumed to be initialized. It performs the following steps when called: let objrec be env-rec, let global object be objrec, let has property be has own property, global object, n. Let extensible be is extensible, global object. If has property is false and extensible is true, then a perform objrec create mutable binding, n, d. B perform objrec initialize binding, n, undefined. If env-rec does not contain n, then a append enter env-rec 7. Return unused, 1, 1, 4, 1, 8 create global function binding, n, v, d. The create global function binding can crep e method of a global environment record env-rec takes arguments n, a string, v, an ECMA script language value, and e, a boolean, and returns either a normal completion containing unused or a throw completion. It creates and initializes a mutable binding in the associated object environment record and records the bound name in the associated list. If a binding already exists, it is 2, 3, 4, 7, 8 replaced. It performs the following steps when called: let objrec be env-rec, let global object be objrec, let existing prop be global object, n. If existing prop is undefined or existing prop is true, then a. Let desc be the property descriptor, v, true, true, d. Else a. Let desc be the property descriptor, v. Perform define property or throw, global object, n, desk, perform, set, global object, n, v, false. If envrec does not contain n, then I append n to envrec. Return unused. 48. ECMA International 2024. Note global function declarations are always represented as own properties of the global object. If possible, an existing own property is reconfigured to have a standard set of attribute values. Step 7 is equivalent to what calling the initialize binding concrete method would do, and if global object is a proxy will produce the same sequence of proxy trap calls. 1. 5 module environment records. A module environment record is a declarative environment record that is used to represent the outer scope of an ECMA script module. In addition to normal mutable and immutable bindings, module environment records also provide immutable import bindings, which are bindings that provide indirect access to a target binding that exists in another environment record. Module environment records support all of the declarative environment record methods listed in Table 16 and share the same specifications for
I don't want to program.
value.
I want to make music.
Get this binding. In addition,
That doesn't make money though.
support the methods.
So,
Table 22
well, I'm not going to invest
methods of module
into making music to make money.
of the additional concrete specification methods for module environment records are defined.
I gotta focus to get done.
1. 5. 1 get binding value. N. S.
Stick to this and get this done.
Method of a module environment record envrec takes arguments n, a string, and s, a boolean, and returns either a normal completion containing an ECMA script language value or a throw completion. It returns the value of its bound identifier.
I cannot focus.
Binding is an indirect binding. The value of the target binding is returned
I gotta get typing, just start typing, and then I'm good.
as the reference error is thrown. When called assert, S is true, assert. envrec has a binding for n. If the binding for n is an indirect binding, then I let m and n2 be the indirection values provided when this binding for n was created. B let target env be m. C if target env is empty, throw a reference error exception. D return target env get binding value. N2 true. If the binding for n in envrec is an
So,
throw a reference error exception. Bound to n in envrec. Note S will always be true because a module is always strict mode code 9, 1, 1, 5, to delete binding.
I'm gonna finish it up this function, whatever, or macro.
Environment record is
Routine, what you wanna call it.
notification. Method, purpose, create import binding.
That's the plan.
N2, create an immutable indirect binding in a module environment.
I don't wanna like explain the whole thing. I did that yesterday.
Name. M is a module
I don't even wanna do this right now.
binding that exists in M's module and
I wanna mess around with making music.
the value of this environment records this binding. Copyright sign, ECMA International 2024 149. Note module environment records are only used within strict
This is way more fun.
prevents the delete operator in strict code from being applied to a reference record that would resolve to a module environment.
Than this.
C13 5 1 1, 1 1 5
This doesn't make sound.
that has this binding concrete method of a module environment
This code right now,
no arguments.
it makes a quad. It makes two quads.
Following steps when called return true.
And they spin.
5
That's about it.
the get this binding concrete method of a module environment record
And if I want to make these quads do more than spin,
undefined
I gotta keep fucking programming.
and called return undefined.
And I hate programming.
5 create import binding.
Only because it's done in text editors.
Create import bind.
The fuck is this? A text editor? It's 2025.
N a string and
There should be like a 3D CAD program for programming.
returns unused.
Programming consists of tables and raw data,
Name and a binding must
not text files.
record for an N2
This is not programming.
exists in M's module environment.
This sucks.
Accesses to the value of the new binding will indirectly access the bound.
This is so much more fun.
It performs the following steps when called assert. envrec does not already have.
It's not even playing the sound, damn it.
When m is instantiated, it will have a direct binding for n2. Create an immutable indirect binding in envrec for n that references m and n2 as its target binding, and record that the binding is initialized. Return unused, 1.2 environment record.
This is so much more fun.
Operations are used in this specification to operate upon environment.
Why is it not playing the sound? Okay, this isn't fun anymore. But this is fun. Are you kidding me? I'll forget to attach it. I swear to cheese. Nothing is fun. But if this plays, then that's what I was talking about. As being fun. What the fuck? Why did it change the output device? Piece of fucking shit. Wait, that is the right device. Are you kidding me? Wait, it's working now. I hate everything. Technology is shit. Whoever designed this software, whoever designed the web browser, fucking idiots. Fuck. Everything's so fucking stupid. Luckily, I can like fix that, and it's a good thing too. Cause this is fun. It's fun when stuff works. What doesn't work is a modern JavaScript engine. It's a piece of shit. That's why web design is so expensive. It's why it takes so long to develop a website. It's why you pay so much money when getting a website. Because it's run by idiots. And it's why JavaScript is free. Because it's shit. Luckily, I'm making a JavaScript engine. And it's way better than this. And with a better JavaScript engine, you could do more, way more than just this. Like, this is just timing and stuff in the program in JavaScript. But like, if JavaScript was faster, more efficient, the standard sucks. Better than the standard. You could do sound processing, video editing. You could do basically video games, JavaScript. That's fun. What's not fun is programming in a text editor and dealing with the kernel and the fucking video card. getting input. It's not fun at all. It's not fun. Alright, I gotta focus because I'm done. I'm gonna focus. I'm done complaining. I'll complain later. There's always time to complain. I'm gonna work on this. So I'm gonna get this macro set up. I can finally move. Everything that's in the pending list to the collect list. And then the devices in the collect list, I can collect the input, sort it, and use the mouse input, keyboard input. To rotate the quad so I can control the freaking plane or whatever. That's the plane. Then I'll get this shader program done. So we can actually get back to working on JavaScript Engine. And meeting the standard. This terrible standard. This standard sucks. But I'm gonna meet anyways. And make my own standard.
Records 9 1 2 1.
Because that's what standards are for.
EN
You meet the standard,
strict.
and then you go above and beyond.
Reference takes argument
You don't just stay at the standard.
or null name
Or at least, that's my opinion.
a boolean and returns either a normal completion containing a reference record or a throw completion.
So I'm gonna focus and get shit done.
Steps when called if env is null, then a return the reference record unresolvable name strict. This value empty. Let exists be env has binding name. If exists is true, then a return the reference record env name strict empty else. 150 ECMA International 2024. Note, module environment records always provided this binding AB let outer be env return get identifier reference outer name strict 9 1 2 to new declarative environment E. The abstract operation new declarative environment takes argument E, an environment record or null, and returns a declarative environment record. It performs the following steps when called. Let env be a new declarative environment record containing no bindings. Set env to E. Return env, 1, 2, 3 new object environment O, W, E. The abstract operation new object environment takes arguments O, an object, W, a boolean, and E, an environment record or null, and returns an object environment record. It performs the following steps when called. Let env be a new object environment record. Set env to O. Set env to W. Set env to E. Return env, 1, 2, 4 new function environment F. New target. The abstract operation new function environment takes arguments f, an ECMA script function object, and new target, an object or undefined, and returns a function environment record. It performs the following steps when called. Let env be a new function environment record containing no bindings. Set env to f. If f is lexical, set env to lexical, else. Set env to uninitialized. Set env to new target. Set env to f. Return env, 1, 2, 5 new global environment, g, this value. The abstract operation new global environment takes arguments g, an object, and this value, an object, and returns a global environment record. It performs the following steps when called. Let objrec be new object environment, g, false, null. Let dclrec be new declarative environment, null. Let env be a new global environment record. Set env to objrec. Set env to this value. Set env to dclrec. Set env to a new empty list. Set env to null. Return env, 1, 2, 6 new module environment, e. The abstract operation new module environment takes argument e, an environment record, and returns a module environment record. It performs the following steps when called. Let env be a new module environment record containing no bindings. Set env to e. Return env. ECMA International, 2024 151, 9.2 Private environment records. A private environment record is a specification mechanism used to track private names based upon the lexical nesting structure of class declarations and class expressions in ECMA script code. They are similar to, but distinct from, environment records. Each private environment record is associated with a class declaration or class expression. Each time such a class is evaluated, a new private environment record is created to record the private names declared by that class. Each private environment record has the fields defined in Table 23. Table 23. Private environment record fields. Field name, value type, meaning, outer private environment. A. Private environment record or null. The private environment record of the nearest containing class null if the class with which this private environment record is associated is not contained in any other class. Names, a list of private names. The private names declared by this class. 9. 2. 1 Private environment record operations. The following abstract operations are used in this specification to operate upon private environment records. 9. 2. 1. 1 new private environment, outer privy NV. The abstract operation new private environment takes argument outer privy NV, a private environment record or null, and returns a private environment record. It performs the following steps when called. Let names be a new empty list. Return the private environment record. Outer privy NV, names, 2, 1. To resolve private identifier. Privy NV, identifier. The abstract operation resolve private identifier takes arguments privy NV, a private environment record, and identifier, a string, and returns a private name. It performs the following steps when called. Let names be privy NV. For each private name Pn of names, do A if Pn is identifier. Then, I return Pn. Let outer privy NV be privy NV. Assert. Outer privy NV is not null. Return resolve private identifier. Outer privy NV, identifier. Point 3 realms. Before it is evaluated, all ECMA script code must be associated with a realm. Conceptually, a realm consists of a set of intrinsic objects, an ECMA script global environment, all of the ECMA script code that is loaded within the scope of that global environment, and other associated state and resources. A realm is represented in this specification as a realm record with the fields specified in Table 24, 52, copyright sign, ECMA International 2024, Table 24. Realm record fields, field name, agent signifier, intrinsics, global object, global ENV, template map, an object or undefined value, an agent signifier, a record whose field names are intrinsic keys and whose values are objects, a global environment record, a list of records with fields, a template literal parse node, and V, an array, F. the agent that owns this realm, the global object for this realm, the global environment for this realm, meaning the intrinsic values used by code associated with this realm. A list of records with fields are a string and a module record. Note 1: once a parse node becomes unreachable, the corresponding is also unreachable, and it would be unobservable if an implementation removed the pair from the list. Anything default value is undefined. Note 2: as mentioned in host load imported module 1621.8. Note 1: in realm records is only used when running an import expression in a context where there is no active script or module field reserved for use by hosts that need to associate additional information with a realm record. Template objects are canonicalized separately for each realm using its realm records. Each value is a parse node that is a template literal. The associated ALU is the corresponding template object that is passed to a tag function, a map from the specifier strings imported by this realm to the solved module record. The list does not contain two different records with the same 9.3.1 create realm. The abstract operation create realm takes no arguments and returns a realm record. It performs the following steps when called: let realm rec be a new realm record. Perform create intrinsics. Realm rec. Set realm rec to agent signifier. Set realm rec to undefined. Set realm rec to undefined. Set realm rec to a new empty list. Return realm rec. ECMA International 2024 153 9.3. 2. Create intrinsics. Realm rec. The abstract operation create intrinsics takes argument realm rec, a realm record, and returns unused. It performs the following steps when called: set realm rec to a new record. Set fields of realm rec with the values listed in table 6. The field names are the names listed in column 1 of the table. The value of each field is a new object value fully and recursively populated with property values as defined by the specification of each object in clauses 19 through 28. All object property values are newly created object values. All values that are built-in function objects are created by performing create built-in function steps: length, name, slots, realm rec, prototype, where steps is the definition of that function provided by this specification. Name is the initial value of the function's name property. Length is the initial value of the function's length property. Slots is a list of the names, if any, of the function's specified internal slots. And prototype is the specified value of the function's internal slot. The creation of the intrinsics and their properties must be ordered to avoid any dependencies upon objects that have not yet been created. Perform add restrict. Add function properties. Realm rec. Return unused, 3.3 set realm global object. Realm rec. Global obj. This value. The abstract operation set realm global object takes arguments realm rec, a realm record, global obj, an object or undefined, and this value, an object or undefined, and returns unused. It performs the following steps when called: if global obj is undefined, then A. let intrinsics be realm rec. B. set global obj to ordinary object create intrinsics. Assert global obj is an object. If this value is undefined, set this value to global obj. Set realm rec to global obj. Let new global env be new global environment. Global obj. This value. Set realm rec to new global env. Return unused, 3.4 set default global bindings. Realm rec. The abstract operation set default global bindings takes argument realm rec, a realm record, and returns either a normal completion containing an object or a throw completion. It performs the following steps when called: let global be realm rec. For each property of the global object specified in clause 19, do A. let name be the string value of the property name. B. let desc be the fully populated data property descriptor for the property, containing the specified attributes for the property. For properties listed in 19.2, 19.3, or 19.4, the value of the attribute is the corresponding intrinsic object from realm rec. C. perform. Define property or throw. Global. Name. Desc. Return global. Point 4 execution contexts. An execution context is a specification device that is used to track the runtime evaluation of code by an ECMA script implementation. At any point in time, there is at most one execution context per agent that is actually executing code. This is known as the agent's running execution context. All references to the running execution context in this specification denote the running execution context of the surrounding agent. The execution context stack is used to track execution contexts. The running execution context is always the top element of this stack. A new execution context is created whenever control is transferred from the executable code associated with the currently running execution context to executable code that is not associated with that. 54. Copyright sign, ECMA International 2024. Execution context. The newly created execution context is pushed onto the stack and becomes the running execution context. An execution context contains whatever implementation-specific state is necessary to track the execution progress of its associated code. Each execution context has at least the state components listed in Table 25. Table 25. State components for all execution contexts. Component, purpose, code evaluation state, any state needed to perform, suspend, and resume evaluation of the code associated with this execution context. Function. If this execution context is evaluating the code of a function object, then the value of this component is that function object. If the context is evaluating the code of a script or module, the value is null. Realm. The realm record from which associated code accesses ECMA script resources, script or module. The module record or script record from which associated code originates. If there is no originating script or module, as is the case for the original execution context created in initialize host defined realm, the value is null. Evaluation of code by the running execution context may be suspended at various points defined within this specification. Once the running execution context has been suspended, a different execution context may become the running execution context and commence evaluating its code. At some later time, a suspended execution context may again become the running execution context and continue evaluating its code at the point where it had previously been suspended. Transition of the running execution context status among execution contexts usually occurs in stack-like last-in, first-out manner. However, some ECMA script features require non-LIFO transitions of the running execution context. The value of the realm component of the running execution context is also called the current realm record. The value of the function component of the running execution context is also called the active function object. ECMA script code execution contexts have the additional state components listed in Table 26. Table 26. Additional state components for ECMA script code execution contexts. Component, purpose, lexical environment, identifies the environment record used to resolve identifier references made by code within this execution context. Variable environment, identifies the environment record that holds bindings created by variable statements within this execution context. Private environment, identifies the private environment record that holds private names created by class elements in the nearest containing class null if there is no containing class. The lexical environment and variable environment components of an execution context are always environment records. Execution contexts representing the evaluation of generators have the additional state components listed in Table 27. ECMA International 2024 155. Table 27. Additional state components for generator execution contexts. In most situations, only the running execution context, the top of the execution context stack, is directly manipulated by algorithms within this specification. Hence, when the terms lexical environment and variable environment are used without qualification, they are in reference to those components of the running execution context. An execution context is purely a specification mechanism and need not correspond to any particular artifact of an ECMA script implementation. It is impossible for ECMA script code to directly access or observe an execution context. 4.1 Get active script or module. The abstract operation get active script or module takes no arguments and returns a script record, a module record, or null. It is used to determine the running script or module based on the running execution context. It performs the following steps when called. If the execution context stack is empty, Return null. Let EC be the topmost execution context on the execution context stack whose script or module component is not null. If no such execution context exists, return null. Otherwise, return X script or module, 4.2 resolve binding, name, env. The abstract operation resolve binding takes argument name, a string, and optional argument env, an environment record or undefined, and returns either a normal completion